Second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Modise Mpia.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The former Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, established a no-nonsense counter-corruption headed by a former police officer who is now an advocate. The unit is headed at the DDG level, and it is the only one of its kind outside of the regular law enforcement agencies. We are aware that since its inception, a lot of people have been fired, convicted, and sentenced. Do you find that the model is successful, that it should be recommended to other government departments which experience similar acts of corruption? Are you able to give the figures of the people who were nabbed since the inception of the unit?
The Honourable Minister.
Deputy Speaker, thank you very much. That question is certainly not related to the original, but I'm happy to respond in any case. Chair, I think we have demonstrated through actions rather than words our commitment to dealing with corruption in Home Affairs. Within a matter of 4 or 5 months, 18 officials were dismissed through disciplinary processes that had been accelerated after they had stalled for many years. I'm deeply grateful for the work of the Special Investigating Unit in supporting Home Affairs through a proclamation signed by the President that is indeed helping us to enforce our commitment to zero tolerance for corruption. There is additional work going on, Deputy Speaker, to make sure that we handle disciplinary cases in an expeditious manner. There was a report recently related to a particular official that faces certain allegations. As soon as those allegations were brought to the fore, within a matter of days, the official was suspended. Investigation is ongoing, and I can say without any equivocation that the era of tolerating corruption in Home Affairs is at an end. And wherever we find this kind of malpractice, we will have zero tolerance for it and ensure that there are consequences in terms of the law for everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Before I proceed to the next question, Honourable Members, it has been brought to my attention that if you are going to speak and your mic is open and you have the headphones for the interpreting device too close to it and it is very loud, you will have the high-pitched sound. So if you are going to activate your microphone, please put the headphones a bit in the distance. And then may I request the chief whips of the different parties to please inform your members that if they go for tea or coffee, that they please keep the volume down, because it really is interfering with the activities within the chamber, which is our main function here. We then proceed with the third supplementary question, and that will be asked by the Honourable Ruiz.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Minister, from a security as well as tourism point of view, what outcomes have been observed since the implementation of the Trusted Tour Operator Scheme?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. As I indicated earlier, security has been taken to another level because we now have an online system where we can track every part of the process, where we can see how adjudication decisions are made without a single piece of paper that can be manipulated or can get lost. We also have the benefit of signed contracts with these tour operators to make sure that they themselves will be held to account if there is any malpractice and malfeasance. So that has taken us to another level in terms of security. In terms of the efficiency, I'm very happy to report that all of these visa outcomes that have been streaming in from China and India now are being processed within less than a day. I've just received the latest update and over 450 tourists who otherwise would not have come to South Africa have already been brought in within a matter of days. I'm very proud of the work that the City of Cape Town is doing, really leveraging this new visa system by promoting actively tourism in the city. In India, for example, the mayor tells me that over 25 million people have engaged with that content already in India alone. The Department of Tourism is working to promote the Trusted Tour Operator Scheme among those massive source markets. I am very confident, Deputy Speaker, that South Africa is going to see significant increase in tourism from these massive source markets, housing 2.8 billion people. At the moment, we're really underperforming. We're attracting attracting less than 40,000 people a year from China, for example. And through the Trusted Tour Operator Scheme, we've taken the first step to create jobs in this sector in South Africa. Research shows us that for every 12 tourists that we attract, 1 South African finds a new job. That is our commitment, and that is what we are delivering through digital transformation.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Letlape.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Minister, my first question is, when will this digitized visa system be rolled out for individuals? And on the digital identity document system, when will it be available to help other institutions like the health department, where South African citizens are being crowded out of critical care like cancer treatment by undocumented foreigners?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and to the member for those excellent questions. I think on the first point, the member is absolutely correct that we are not stopping with tour groups. We want to eventually roll out secure online application and adjudication for all visa applications, including for individuals from around the world. That we will do through what the President announced in the State of the Nation address in terms of the electronic travel authorization. This is a system that more and more countries around the world are using, including, for example, in Kenya, where you fully digitize and automate not only the application process, but also the adjudication process and the sending of visa outcomes. Deputy Speaker, before we had the Trusted Tour Operator Scheme, tourists from countries like China sometimes received the outcome of their visa application, the physical document, after their plane had left the airport. Those are the kind of things that are coming to an end if we can send those outcomes digitally and immediately. So that's what we're working towards in terms of the electronic travel authorization. And then secondly, we have to adopt a phased approach as we move towards the digital ID system that I described. What we're going to start with is to make sure that we massively expand access to the existing smart IDs, which are much more secure than the green ID books. We all know those are really the source of much frustration and problems in South Africa. That's why we want to expand our successful pilot project whereby Home Affairs ID and passport services are rendered in 30 bank branches at the moment. I want that to go up to hundreds or even 1,000 bank branches all across South Africa. That will massively increase inclusion, massively expand access to these vital enabling documents. Once we've achieved that, we're well on the way to then also introducing a digital version of these documents, which will over time reap the benefits that I described earlier in terms of making all government services more secure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Question number 74 has been asked by the Honourable Chabane to the Minister of Home Affairs. The question is the latest update on the finalisation of the white paper on citizenship, immigration and refugee protection towards a complete overhaul of the migration system in South Africa. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and to the committee chair for this question. As I first reported to Parliament in September last year, the Department has embarked on a process to develop a supplementary policy paper that aligns the white paper with the priorities of the Government of National Unity, including most critically the focus on digital transformation that I just described and as articulated by the President during the State of the Nation address. By way of one example of what this could mean in practice, the original white paper proposes relocating refugee reception centres to ports of entry. A good idea. However, the focus on digital transformation that has since emerged as a key government priority means that the department is now able to refine this recommendation by introducing the option of, for example, virtual hearings for asylum seekers. This would achieve the same goal as the original proposal, which is to move physical offices, but save the substantial costs involved in relocating those offices, and it would potentially equip every port of entry with the means to conduct faster and more efficient asylum seeker interviews so that that process does not drag on and allow people to stay in our country while they await the outcome. Another possible example of an opportunity that we can explore through this process is the automation of entry and exit at ports of entry to clamp down on corruption. I've often said that you cannot bribe a computer. and therefore this priority has already been included in the GNU's medium-term development plan, and we can now use the supplementary paper to the white paper to reflect this priority in the work of government going forward. Finally, Deputy Speaker, a third possible example is the need for us to supplement the white paper to ensure that we give expression to the President's announcement relating to digital ID, which will require us to capture biometrics for every person who crosses our borders so that we can know who is in the country, when they are supposed to leave, and take action when they fail to do so. These are three possible examples that demonstrate the practical value of supplementing the white paper to ensure that any resulting legal changes are as effective and efficient as possible in achieving our shared goal to improve border management while driving economic growth and job creation. Finally, the Department has a target of submitting the supplementary policy paper to myself for approval by the 31st of March. The process of drafting the paper is well underway, and during the 25-26 financial year, this supplementary policy paper will then be subjected to public consultation and later submitted to Cabinet for approval. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Chabane.
Thank you, Minister. Given the reasoning that you have outlined, during the sixth administration, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi assured this House that the white paper has been considered and approved by Cabinet. On the 26th and 24th September 2024, you have indicated to the Portfolio Committee that you have commissioned a legal opinion in relation to the white paper. Can you assure this House and the time frame that Cabinet will consider the white paper once you have considered it as an executive? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Yes, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Just to repeat the assurance indeed that even just last week there was a departmental workshop on this, where not only the legalities but also all of the opportunities that we now have before us because of our focus on digital transformation was considered by the department, and they are now finalizing that proposal with their target being the 31st of March to submit that to the Minister. And as I said, during the 2025-26 financial year, the policy paper to supplement will then be subjected to thorough public consultation and thereafter submitted to Cabinet for approval. So that is the assurance that I can give. Thank you.
The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Muhammad.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, given that the migration crisis has worsened under this administration and illegal immigration remains unchecked, can you explain why it has taken so long to legalize and finalize this white paper? Is this delay not a reflection of your department's failure to manage migration effectively, leaving South Africans to bear the consequences of poor border control? And what guarantees are there, Minister, that the white paper will lead to real enforcement measures? Or is this another document that will gather dust while South Africans suffer? And Minister, can you please tell us what concrete and immediate actions is your department taking while we wait for this white paper? Or this too is just another example of government inefficiency and empty promises? I thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I want to submit that the Honourable Member answered her own question, which was why are we making sure that we supplement this white paper? It is precisely to make sure that it is not something that exists only on paper. It is to make sure that it has practical and meaningful effects on how we improve South Africa's border management. I've often said that you cannot fix administration through legislation. You actually have to fix the administration itself. And therefore, while we're working to make sure that this white paper supplementation process unlocks the full power of digital transformation to improve our immigration management system, we are indeed concentrating on building a stronger administration to make sure that when that paper lands and when, most importantly, the legislative changes that will flow from it are brought into effect, that we are indeed able to enforce. And that is exactly the goal. In terms of what we are doing, Deputy Speaker, the list is long and the time is short. What honourable colleagues will have seen over the last few months is a dramatic increase in the apprehensions of people trying to cross illegally into South Africa by 215%. That's the increase of people who were prevented from crossing illegally by the Border Management Authority during the festive season. We have piloted, with cooperation from the Department of Agriculture and Land Reform, the use of drones for the very first time. There are processes underway to make sure we get full-time drones for the Border Management Authority, body cameras for the Border Management Authority, and, as I mentioned, all the work being done to introduce an electronic travel authorization, which will then lead to automated entry and exit. Deputy Speaker, I want to emphasize this point. You cannot bribe a computer. When you show up to an electronic gate and you scan electronic travel authorization or you scan your passport, it will either open or close.
Thank you, Honourable
Minister. It does not ask for a bribe. Thank you.
Your time has expired. Honourable members, before I go to the next question, could I again please request whips to ask their members not to converse so loudly when they have coffee or tea, because it really is making our work impossible. So could I please ask you to just send a message to your members if they do take a break to do so silently to allow us to do our work. Thank you. The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Tahudin.
Honourable Speaker, does the white paper propose any specific policy changes regarding the mass deportation?
Honourable member, could I just ask you to speak louder and into the microphone? Thank you.
Does the white paper propose any specific policy changes regarding the mass deportation of illegal immigrants, and if not, does the Minister believe it should?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Let me tell you that the numbers of deportations we are seeing in South Africa at the moment is much higher than it has been for many years. I don't have the figures in front of me right now, but in fact the department is scrambling to find the resources to keep up with the number of individuals that are being deported in terms of what the law requires. You will see evidence of this in the fact that the Department of Home Affairs now has its own buses to make sure that deportations are actually sped up. And so that is something that is well underway. And we do so for a very simple reason, because that is what the law requires. We are not in the business of scapegoating, but we are also not in the business of turning a blind eye to people who break the law. If you doubt that, please ask Chidima Adechina's mother what happens when you break South African law and you brazenly undermine the position of Home Affairs in terms of the cancellation of her documents. Then I also just want to point out that everything I have described in terms of using biometric technology to know who is in South Africa, to know when they are supposed to leave, and to take action when they don't, is going to be the single biggest advancement in our ability to secure our border management that we have ever seen in South African history. So I would ask for the House that if you take this problem seriously, support Home Affairs, support the Border Management Authority on our journey to enforce digital transformation across all of the work that we do. Thank you.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Machi.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Honourable Minister, given
Honourable Member, could you please also just talk closer to the microphone and a bit louder?
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Honourable Minister, given KZN economic reliance on sectors such as agriculture and tourism, how will the overhaul of the migration system ensure that businesses can access necessary foreign labour while maintaining strict immigration controls? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable Member for that question, because it reminds all of us that we are talking about two things here. We are talking on the one hand about improving the way in which border management is conducted in South Africa so that we can ensure national security. But on the other hand, we are indeed talking about what the Honourable Member raises, which is the most critical priority we face in South Africa, and that is to create jobs. And so that is why we are doing both. There's an expression that says you must be able to walk and chew at the same time. That's exactly what Home Affairs is doing under this administration. We are working to improve the security aspects, but we are also seeking to become that economic enabler, not only in KZN, but around the country, that unlocks the economic benefits of bringing in skills for companies, of bringing in tourists for the tourism sector. And so the good news is that you can do both of those things if you embrace the kind of change that we've seen through mechanisms like the Trusted Tour Operator Scheme.
Honourable Minister, your time has
Thank you.
expired.